Right, we're going to talk about the fourth guideline in the dietary guidelines. And this guideline states that we should shift to healthier food and beverage choices. So we should choose nutrient-dense foods and beverages across and within all food groups in place of less healthy choices. It's important that we consider cultural and personal preferences to make these shifts easier to accomplish and maintain. And I should have highlighted that last sentence, as that is really, really important for us, particularly as health coaches, because we want to make sure that when our clients go through and start making some changes and thinking through the changes that they want to make, the more aligned they are with their cultural background, the more aligned they are with their personal preferences and values, the more likely they are to sustain that health behavior change. Here are some recommended shifts based on that dietary guideline. The first is to consume more fruits and vegetables. The second is to consume more whole grains and fewer refined grains. The third is to consume more dairy products. And the fourth is to increase variety in protein choices, food choices, and choose more nutrient-dense foods. Some other additional recommendations include that men and teenage boys should consume less protein, especially meat, poultry, and eggs. So if you want to go back to that figure earlier on when we were talking about protein sources, you actually could see that men and boys tended to overconsume protein compared to girls and women. Other recommended shifts include exchanging solid fats for oils, reducing added sugar consumption to less than 10% of calories per day, same thing for saturated fat, reducing it to less than 10% of calories per day, and reducing sodium intake. All things that we kind of have already talked about, right? Other examples, see, these are actually like specific tangible things and changes that a client could make that reflect those things that we just spoke about, right? So shifting from fruit-filled cereal bars to whole fruit, shifting from butter in a frying pan to oils, shifting from soda to seltzer water, or maybe even shifting from tortilla chips with cheese dip to carrots with hummus dip. So again, put on your coaching hat and think it's one thing for you to tell your client all of these examples. It's a whole other and probably more successful thing if your clients brainstorm solutions that will work with them. So these might be some solutions that you have and that you know of, but they might come up with solutions that are going to be realistic to their life. Now, the fifth guideline in the dietary guidelines is to support healthy eating patterns for all. And I really like this one because it really remembers that we aren't all experiencing our nutrition behaviors alone, right? We don't just kind of live in a void, we live in a whole system. So everyone has a role in helping create and support healthy eating patterns in multiple settings. And this can be from your work to your home to areas in your community. And just as a nice time to kind of remember that socio-ecological model. And if you remember, we kind of did this process in lab where we thought about how all these different kind of components of the model, whether it be policy, community, interpersonal, intrapersonal, how all of those things affect your behaviors. And this includes your eating habits. And so it's really important that we know that and so that we can meet people where they are. So to understand individual choices and motivators, health coaches should pay particular attention to food access, household food insecurities, and acculturation. Now, if you click on that photo on the right in your PDF version of your lecture, that will actually bring you to a website that can look up different food deserts that exist kind of nationwide. So let's actually spend some time talking about food access. This refers to access to healthy, safe, affordable food choices, which are actually all influenced by several things, right? It's influenced by the proximal distance that someone lives to a grocery store, again, food desert. It is influenced by financial resources, transportation issues, if they have transportation or if they not, neighborhood resources, including public transportation. Household food insecurities are when kind of looking into access to nutritious and safe food, and when that's kind of limited and uncertain. So food insecurity affects families, it affects students. That's actually why CSULB has the beach pantry, because we know that a lot of our students are food insecure. And so we want to make sure that we have an option for students to eat when they might not have the means to eat. And if you know someone who is like that, or you yourself are experiencing some sort of food insecurity, please go to the syllabus for this class and you'll see instructions on how to actually access that beach pantry. Now, acculturation is this idea that when people come to America from different areas, they tend to change their eating patterns to be more American. And that's actually something we don't want to have happen. Okay, the recommended eating pattern is flexible so it can accommodate traditional and cultural foods while still making sure that they're trying to meet some of these guidelines. Individuals and families are encouraged to maintain their traditional healthy eating and physical activity patterns and avoid adopting less healthy behaviors, which are often kind of associated with the American behavior, right? So that's an important thing to consider as well. So really it takes a multifaceted approach. So an impactful intervention or food intervention might include a combination of changes that occur across multiple levels. It could occur at the home, the school, the work site, within one's community, or even food retail. So for example, within the home, we can develop skills in meal planning, right, and cooking. At school, we can commit to making sure that we're offering healthy meals and snacks. We're providing nutritional labels for our kids and within the cafeterias. Within the worksite, we can offer health and wellness programs. Some of you know about that, right? We have asked you to go into worksite wellness programs. We can offer nutritional counseling. We can even be as simple as not bring in junk food to our workplace to kind of perpetuate that behavior. Within the community, we can work with our food shelters. We can support our food banks. We can support local farmers markets and community gardens. And then within food retail, we can actually reach out to consumers about making healthy changes. We can actually reach out to our local grocers and say, hey, these are the foods that we want to see. Because every single grocery store has a form that you can fill out that requests what you want to have at the grocery store. So simply by you doing that, tells them that you want to consume that healthy and affordable option. So there's some strategies that you can have as a health coach to help with some of this. This includes exploring ways that individuals can model healthy eating behaviors for friends and families. You can also partner with individuals to increase awareness of the foods and beverages that make up their own eating patterns and identify areas where they can make some small changes. So let's do a quick learning recap. What are the recommended shifts in Guideline 4 for the dietary guidelines? And what do you do, or what can you do as a health coach to support Guideline 5 in those dietary guidelines? I will pause here and I will see you soon.